Let me get this straight. Amazon is building multi-billion-dollar data centers in Mississippi. Some people are mad about it. Some people are optimistic about it. But what are the pros and cons of actually building a $10 billion, $25 billion set of data centers in Mississippi? Let's go ahead and check it out and see if this is going to be a good thing or a bad thing for Mississippi.
We begin with breaking news at noon. A major economic boost for Mississippi as the governor announces a $25 billion expansion for the state. 3 on your side's Holly Emery joining us live in Madison County now with details. Holly, what can you tell us?
Well, Ashley, you heard that right. It's actually a $12 billion additional investment here in Madison County, as well as other parts of the metro, and we'll get to those details a little later. But you can already see some of the work that's happening in Madison County off West County Line Road. I'm going to step out of the way so you can see there are concrete slabs already being laid down. Buildings are already going up for some of the data centers that Amazon is bringing to this area, all, again, in that $12 billion investment happening from Amazon. Now, let me break it down where exactly all that investment is going. $11 billion is going between both Madison County campuses. That's the one here on West County Line Road and the one all the way up towards the mega site. Now, that's going to create 700 jobs. The majority of the jobs are going to be here because that's where the additional buildings are going to be. Now, the other $1 billion is going to the city of Clinton, and that's going to create 100 jobs for their data center. The announcement was made just an hour ago in front of lawmakers, county, and
$1 billion goes to the county, but yet it only creates what, a couple hundred jobs? Make that shit make sense.
State leaders. And here's what the governor had to say about today's investment.
As you've heard me say before, and you'll probably hear me say it again, Mississippi is not attracting the industries of the future. We're building them. When I got elected governor and was sworn in 2020, we made a decision that Mississippi was going to compete with the best in the world, that we were going to invest in workforce development, that we were going to invest in our infrastructure, and that we were committed to investing in innovation.
So how many physical data centers will that be for our area? Well, it's unclear at the moment, but there's already 10 current buildings in Madison County from the last $10 billion investment that was made 2 years ago to this day. So it's safe to assume that with $12 billion, that number is going to nearly, if not more than double the amount of data center buildings that are currently in Madison County. And that puts the total at $25 billion of investments only from Amazon alone here in Mississippi.
Man, how much you want to bet they went over there because of tax cuts, cheap resources, property taxes, all those sort of things? Mississippi just announced that they were trying to do away with state labor taxes, off of checks. And they are working to try to make it more attractable. Of course, it's already the most affordable state to live in the United States. But I'm pretty sure Amazon is just going over there to do some other things. All right. It's cheaper, blah, blah, blah. But I'm also thinking big companies like this can probably get away with a lot of bad shit and still pay people under the table or do what they got to do to make it to make it go away. But not only that, they're probably saving so much of money that even if they do get fined, that they write that off. That's just a part of their statement, their P&L. I can write off a $1 million fine, and we can do this every year out the every month after the whole entire year and still save money by doing it this way, by taking a shortcut. I promise you, that's what it can definitely happen.
And that's the very latest from here off West County Line Road in Madison County. Holly Emery, 3 on your side.
Amazon has agreed to pay almost $21 million to settle allegations that its data centers have contributed to groundwater pollution in Morrow County. Folks out in Eastern Oregon have been dealing for years with nitrate pollution in the groundwater that has polluted wells and drinking water in the area. This doesn't come from the data centers, the pollution doesn't. It's nitrates from fertilizer and other farm activities in the area. The allegation, though, is that Amazon, which uses huge volumes of water to cool its data centers out there, has been contributing to the problem because the data centers use water that has nitrates in it from the area. That water evaporates, most of it, during the cooling process. What's left is allegedly concentrated with nitrates and it goes back out over the farmland, seeping back into the groundwater. Amazon denies any wrongdoing here. They say that their water runoff has very low levels of nitrates, and overall they're a fairly low water user in the area relative to some of the other water users in the area. They say they agreed to the settlement in the interest of helping the community with its.
I can tell you this. This can go a long way. They've already agreed to pay this off, but just imagine what they're doing as these data centers get bigger and bigger and bigger. If this happens in Oregon, what do you think is happening in Mississippi? All right. They're probably going to learn this lesson and build a better wastewater program. Don't get me wrong. They're probably going to try to do a much better job with their water runoffs. But at the end of the day, I just said it, they can do dumb stuff, foul stuff, get away with stuff, but the fine, the penalty is still a crumb to the overall profit that they get. That's my idea. They can kind of get away with some little slaps on the wrist and pay for them. All right. They will. They probably have been, of course. But this is just one of the problems that can arrive with a giant ass data center getting built in your backyard.
Wastewater problem. The money will be used for public infrastructure and private wells. People in the area will be contacted if they're eligible to collect any of the fund.
Oh yeah, they're not getting any of that money. Stop it. They're definitely not getting any of that money. Y'all can count that out, man. Residents.
Centers in Mississippi. Governor Tate Reeves announced the company will be building one in Ridgeland and another in Clinton. This is the third time in 2 years that the company has announced a new data center site. Amazon now has 5 data centers in the state with a total expected investment of $25 billion, which will bring in an estimated 2,000 jobs. The announcement was attended by Lieutenant Governor Delbert Hosemann, former House Speaker Philip Gunn, and other state and local leaders. The company said that it will invest in local school districts, that the project will bring in an estimated $1 billion in tax revenue in the first 15 years, and promised to be, quote, water positive and not raise costs for other Entergy customers. Governor Reeves spoke at the event and said the projects will bring high-paying jobs and transformational growth to the state.
Dude, 2,000 jobs is not a lot of jobs. What are you talking about? 2,000 jobs in the entire state of Mississippi is not going to make a difference. That's a small percentage in that workforce. Stop it.
Also this week, Mississippi Today's Alex Rozier reported that the Southern Environmental Law Center, on behalf of a group of South Haven residents and 2 nonprofits, asked the Mississippi Department of Environmental Quality to hold another hearing for XAI's air permit. Last month, MDEQ approved an air permit for the company to operate 41 permanent gas turbines in DeSoto County that will provide power to its data centers in Memphis and South Haven. The letter says the groups intend to raise significant permit deficiencies.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, there is definitely costs, runoffs, emissions, all this stuff that comes with building these giant ass data centers. We've covered this several times before, and this is another thing that we have to worry about and account for that a lot of people don't know. They just think, oh, they dress it up as 2,000 plus jobs. It's a lot of money, blah, blah, blah. But what is the cost?
9th, Amazon announced a total planned investment of $25 billion with a B in Mississippi, $11 billion expansion in Madison County, $1 billion conversion of a former Delphi manufacturing plant in Hines County, or Hens maybe, all into a data center. And Mississippi now has 8 confirmed data center sites, either planned or under construction. Amazon says it's covering 100% of new energy infrastructure costs and has a $300 million grid improvement initiative with Entergy, Mississippi, a company structured so it won't raise costs for existing ratepayers. And so that's the headline version. You got the update there, but the number that sits underneath it, well, more than half of all data center project proposals across the country are currently halted or rejected because of community opposition. So that to me means that states and counties that say yes are absorbing a disproportionate share of the physical infrastructure that powers the entire AI economy. Mississippi is taking on a heavy density that other states have pushed away. So what do those communities get in return? And what the fine print looks like 10 or 15 years down the road, I think matters a lot more than the $25 billion headline.
Yep.
I think we watched that lesson play out already in Louisiana last week. Full context in the newsletter that I just published this week.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. What does this look like down the line? So we're gonna go ahead and take a look at some of the information that we do know. Jump into this perspective real quick. All right, some of the pros. Why leaders push for this so hard? Massive investment into the state. Amazon alone is putting $3 billion into the site. Okay. All right. You got to upgrade the infrastructure, of course. Maybe some of this money can help with the surrounding areas and obviously increase vehicle traffic. All right. What kind of a boost local economics? They said they were going to help with local schools, those sort of things. Funds, infrastructure attracts other companies. All right. So, hey, more people come in and say, hey, it's working out for them. Let me just go to Mississippi since it's working out for them. Jobs, not as many people as you think. I can't in my mind compute $25 billion worth of stuff for just 2,000 jobs. That just in my mind doesn't make sense. That's just not as a bigger return in jobs that people think. And these are more tech jobs than anything, right? Security, maintenance, networking, tax revenue. At least on paper, counties can see millions in annual tax revenue, and it helps fund schools, police, etc. I can see a little bit that's the reason why. That's always the positive trade-off, right? Infrastructure upgrades, we already talked about that. They're going to need a whole bunch of that, to be honest. And it puts Mississippi on the tech map. AI plus cloud, future economy. States want to become data hubs. This attracts tech talent, training programs, and more investments. But is that really the case? You get what I'm saying? So, okay, deep cons. Let's take a look at it and why it might not work, right? Some of the deep cons is very low job return for the money. Like I said, it just didn't make sense to me to only have 2,000 jobs, but billions of dollars are freaking there. And only a few hundred of them are permanent, right? Huge tax breaks, less money for locals, all right? So these tax breaks go to the local government or the state's government, not just boosting that the locals. They just try to make it look like it's good for the locals, but it's not. Massive power usage. This is a big one. We already talked about the infrastructure, the grid, the power grid, the runoffs, the emissions, the waste that these data centers need or run and operate with. It's a lot. Water consumption concerns. We already talked about the amount of water needed to cool down these systems and how it can pollute surrounding areas. Oregon is already dealing with that. And environmental impact, high energy uses, more emissions. Like I said, these tech buildings aren't the cleanest, and they just keep getting bigger. We already talked about what it looks like in Louisiana, how they're having to build gas turbines to power these things. That's more emissions. So that's crazy that it's getting to this. But hey, what do you guys think? Do you think that this build for Amazon is a good thing for Mississippi or a bad thing? Put your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll chat with you there.